football playoff rankings were released last night, and Alabama moved up to #1 following Georgia's loss. The Tide are followed by Clemson, Miami, and Oklahoma in the top 4. Sitting at #5 is undefeated Wisconsin. They'll host Michigan Saturday on Fox. We're joined now by Joel Klatt, who will call that game with Gus Johnson.
That's
Welcome,
right.
Joel.
Good to be here.
Do you have any problem with the rankings?
Yeah, you know, it's bordering. Yeah, I do, because it's bordering on completely untrustworthy, and that's a little scary for someone that loves the sport, lives and breathes the sport, and wants to give the kids credit for the way that they play on the field, because this committee right now is laughable with the inconsistencies that they're giving us from a week-to-week basis. And the only way that you earn trust is through consistency of behavior. And we've seen zero consistency of behavior from this committee. And right now, it's looking like we're going to have a mess on our hands at the end of the year based on the way teams are playing, the way teams are getting upset. We could have all sorts of possible scenarios where 8, 9, 10 teams think that they've got a claim for the college football playoff. See, every year previous to this, it's worked out for the committee. It's kind of obvious, right, who the 4 teams are, maybe with the situation last year being a little bit of an anomaly with a 2-loss Penn State winning the conference, Ohio State goes, so on and so forth. But in order to have faith in this playoff, if there is a mess of 9 teams at the end, you've got to trust the committee. What have they done that has earned anybody's trust? Because right now, I just see inconsistencies. I see straight entertainment benefit. Clemson at 2 ahead of Miami and Oklahoma is laughable. Yep. Absolutely laughable. If you line up the resumes, they're not even all that close. Clemson only has 2 top 15 wins. Oklahoma's got 3. Oklahoma did 2 of those on the road. By the way, all 3 of those wins by 10 or more points. By the way, if you want to say Kelly Bryant was hurt in the loss to Syracuse, by the way, a 4-6 Syracuse team with only 2 ACC wins, then don't you have to take into consideration that CeeDee Lamb, Abdul Adams, Devontae Lampkin, Stephen Parker all left the Iowa State game for Oklahoma. They did. All starters. Yep. And they didn't have Neville Gallimore, their starting defensive tackle. All of those guys are back. They're playing much better. This committee is frustrating, to say the least. And the biggest problem I have right now is that they are not trustworthy. And they're supposed to be 13 of the most integrous people in the sport and in college football, and they're not earning that title right now. And it looks like it could be a complete mess at the end of this thing.
Wow.
I agree.
Joe Klatt speaks out.
I agree everything you just said. And the problem that I have is that you got Clemson at 2. Okay? And I heard the guy talking last night because Skip, I wanted to hear his rationale. He says Clemson win over Auburn. Okay, now you heap praise on Clemson for beating Auburn, but you punish Georgia for losing to Auburn. Now, is Auburn good or they're not good? That's what I need to know. Because you dropped Georgia from 1 to 7, losing to Auburn, but you heap praise on Clemson for beating Auburn. How does Clemson get to be #2 after that? Oklahoma at worst should be #2. You look at their resume. Oklahoma State, TCU, and Ohio State.
You're preaching to the
And they're 4th. Miami should be 3rd. How Clemson got to be #2?
I don't know.
I still don't know. What's bothering me, Skip? I don't know how it's going to happen, but somehow I got a feeling, and I hate having this feeling. Ohio State going to find their way to get back in this thing.
You're starting to hear that, aren't you? Those
Man! How you lose 2 games, Skip, and find yourself? What's going to be interesting, Skip? Let's just say, for the sake of argument, there's a possibility Auburn and Alabama.
7-7.
Auburn could beat Alabama in Auburn. They go to the SEC title, they win. You got a 12-1 Alabama team sitting there, and you're going to have a 2-loss team that wins the conference title.
Same situation as last year, and they took Ohio State over Penn State.
They did.
So, and now the resume for Alabama is going to really hurt them. If they lose at 11-1 in the regular season and don't go to the title game, their resume will really hurt them at that point. It won't be nearly what Ohio State's was, because remember, Ohio State had that win over Oklahoma in the non-conference a year ago, but it'll be interesting.
Oklahoma is clearly better than Clemson, period, end of story. I'm still not exactly sure what to do with the U, but the U just tramped all over. Oh. They embarrassed Notre Dame. Way to go.
Thanks. I was there.
Yeah. And
exciting, right?
Yet it was as home a victory as you can get, because that place was crazy. And I do want to see them go away or even play Virginia at noon, where you can't get that kind of crazy crowd going. But but I do want to see them go to Pittsburgh and just see how they play, and I want to see them play on the road in the ACC title game. Somebody's going to get eliminated there, and who knows? Maybe it's going to be Clemson. Maybe they'll just get eliminated.
Or maybe they don't.
You know?
I mean, right?
Okay.
If
All right,
Miami...
maybe they don't. But I'm a big eye test guy.
Sure.
And as much as I loved the 38 points that my Sooners put on TCU, a team that was allowing 14 a game, they put 38 on them by halftime. That was the most impressive single thing I saw in a half. But I also started watching Auburn play Georgia, and I could not take my eyes off it because Auburn has arrived as a force. And maybe they weren't quite there when they played Clemson earlier this year, and they lost 14-6 at Clemson. But Auburn is a force. And right here, right now, with the injuries St. Nick has suffered on defense, especially at linebacker, it looked to me after I watched Alabama play Mississippi State and struggle with Mississippi State, and that quarterback pulled that one out of the fire. Jalen Hurts was really good late.
He was great in the fourth quarter.
Impressed me.
Yeah.
But Auburn looked like the better team now, and it takes a while. Teams sort of come alive. This Auburn team is a force on the plains, and that game is at Auburn.
Correct.
And I just think they're better than Alabama right now, and that's going to throw a big monkey wrench into this whole.
It absolutely will.
And in particular, when you take a look at Alabama historically, what they've done in the run defense has been fantastic, right? Well, they gave up 170-plus yards last week and 3 rushing touchdowns. You know, that's the most rushing touchdowns that Nick Saban's ever given up at Alabama. That's pretty incredible.
Auburn
because of who's on their schedule coming up. Auburn, guys, point blank period. No team in the top 10 matches up well with Oklahoma and Auburn because they can play offense. You know, the other teams, there's big question marks surrounding their offenses, whether they can play consistency, throw the ball consistently. Kelly Bryant has been average at best in the last 7 games
and
for
as you know,
Clemson.
Jared Stidham came from Baylor, where he was in a pass-happy offense.
That's right.
And they finally figured out how to blend him into the run game, which is dominating at Auburn, but he can throw it.
Yes.
Like he can really throw it on cue when you need him to.
And I will tell you this. If this committee was waiting for Oklahoma to embarrass TCU, then they had something different coming. Because what they failed to realize was that that's likely a rematch in the Big 12 championship game. Lincoln Riley put that offense in park. I mean, borderline reverse. Yes, in the second half. They could have scored 55 points fairly easily. You know, but he didn't want to exploit a lot of the matchups.
I felt for you because you had to sort of just talk through the second half.
Which is
because
fine.
It was a little slow to watch. It got a little tedious after a while because they just shut it down.
They were methodical. They were using the entire play clock on almost every single snap. So this is where I'm going to bring all this back to the committee. Are they watching? Because quite frankly, right now, I don't trust you, 13 people. I don't trust you right now with the rankings that you've been giving us. It's totally inconsistent, and you should do better than that. One of the reasons why is because an athlete, in order to reach a destination, needs to know what the destination is. And if you're changing it every 2 seconds, you're never going to reach that destination. It just doesn't make any sense.
And I like Auburn. Auburn, the demolition that they did on Georgia. But I don't see how they get ranked ahead of Georgia with 1 loss. It's almost like they're punishing Georgia now because Notre Dame got blown out by Miami.
Yeah,
so now that Notre Dame win doesn't look impressive. And so you beat Notre Dame, and everybody's like, they went on the road and beat Notre Dame. Notre Dame is in the college playoff right now as we speak. But I just, this Auburn, look, the Iron Bowl is going to tell a lot. You throw the records out. Because even when Alabama was very good, Auburn gave them fits. When Auburn was very good and Alabama wasn't very good, Alabama gave them fits. So you throw that out. This is going to be very, very interesting to see if Alabama wins that game, we got no problem. Alabama can go to the SEC title game and lose. They're going to the playoffs.
Maybe. I will tell you this real quick. All of a sudden, head-to-head matters with Auburn and Georgia with not similar records.
Right.
And it doesn't matter for Washington State and USC back in the 10 to 15 range.
Right.
Like, what are we doing in that room? Are you guys just enjoying room service? Like, is this just a paid vacation to Dallas? What are we doing? Start ranking the teams accurately. Come on.
Woo!
Yeah, get up,
Go! Get them! Love it.
Like it,
Logan
Joel.
don't say Nick, but you know what it's all said and done.
He's got a stinker going on down there.
If the Alabama,
better watch out for
Alabama Invitational. Have you ever had one of those without Alabama in it? Have you ever had one of those without Alabama?
The Auburn Tigers are about to have a big say in this.
Yeah, they are.
And you know it.
Yeah, they
you
are.
know what's coming.
Now you know St. Nick will have them ready to play.
Ain't Nick is coming.
St. Nick will have them ready to
coming.
play.
Yeah. You
Check
see it
out
coming.
Joel for the Wisconsin-Michigan game Saturday on Fox. Joel will be back later in the show. Can the Celtics win the East? We'll discuss that next.